my friend Gage is gonna talk to you. Oh, and John Clark, he'll be there, oh, too. Even though they're not close together, they're far away. There, one's in Tampa, the other one's in LA. Oh, Gage, what's the show called again?
Fucking, it's Almost Adults. Shit.
Almost adult. Shit.
So, welcome to Almost Adults. I don't know which, I think this is number 7.
This is 7, yes, because we did the Chillcast before, and that was number 6.
Okay, alright, great. Alright, so I'm keeping up with the numbers. We have our guest today, one of Gage's friends, Alex Keel.
Yep. Alex makes me want to keel over and die.
Ooh,
that is a fresh,
damn.
new take on my last name.
How often do you hear that, man?
I guess he doesn't hear it very often.
Sorry, what's up? I didn't.
Did you just zone out for a second?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, what's going on?
He legitimately keeled over right there.
That joke killed me.
So tell us about yourself, Alex.
Well, not much of anything as of right now. I'm just a college student looking to break into the industry. I go to FSU like Gage did once before, and I'm hoping to sort of transition my education to new places, I guess. I feel like I'm doing a lot of short-term things right now, like short films and writing feature lengths that eventually will get turned into something, but as of right now, I'm just sort of like a struggling artist.
I didn't know that you were doing feature-length stuff. Have you written something like feature-length all the way down?
Not completed yet. I have a folder on my computer, it's sitting right there, that has like 20 or 30 different feature ideas that I just need to flesh out, because I feel like I have all the way from A to Z. It's just a matter of like writing it all out and getting it pen to paper, you know?
Nice. So that actually would be possibly a cool tangent to go off on during the podcast today. I would love to hear your ideas for some movies, if you feel comfortable revealing some of them.
No, yeah, sure. That's why I'm here.
Cool. So you're in the media design program, or the same thing that Gage was in?
No, I'm in what's known as editing, writing, and media. So it's more of like a technical approach, something a little more akin to an English degree. But I feel like I can use my major as sort of like a marketing tool, because instead of being like I have all of the technical knowledge, I have more of like
creative knowledge.
Creative knowledge, yeah. I could say like this is why this specific idea will work for this specific demographic, because it was very like literal in terms of like writing out articles for newspapers and creating my own media with a certain message. So I feel like I am a bit more marketable in that sense, like maybe as like a PR person, and it's just like a hair away from actually getting in there and doing what I want to do.
So we should actually get you in contact. Gage and I share a friend. Her name is Sabrina, and she works actually in a company. It's kind of more towards the advertising perspective of it. She was actually working in graphic design, so that was her component. But I think your kind of degree and your skill set would work perfectly in that scenario. I forget the name of the business that she works in, but they do stuff like marketing, media, and things like that to different people, and I feel like your skill set would match pretty well there. Whether or not that's true, I'm not entirely familiar with what her job entails, but it sounds like the two overlap pretty well, and if you're looking for a way to kind of get your foot in the door somewhere, that might be a cool opportunity.
Yes, that's definitely sort of like, it's not necessarily what I want to start out with. It's of course like I'd like to just go into what you guys are doing, you know, full scale creation, but I feel a safer, easier way to start out would be to go that sort of route. So I would appreciate that information.
Well, Alex, I got news for you. Neither of us are in full-scale creation.
Yeah, when I heard him say that, I was like, what the hell does he think I do?
Real quick, I forgot. We've all worked together on the same project. We've worked on the Star Bomb project together. Alex co-directed that with me.
Really?
Yeah. He did
awesome.
A lot of cool stuff when I was in front of the camera, and he knew the technical aspects better than I did, must I add.
I appreciate that.
He helped make that come together.
So a parallel that can be drawn between that. So I just recently watched an interview of Jack Black with Conan O'Brien. So Jack Black has been working on 3 Kung Fu Panda movies now.
Right.
And in the interview, he explains how over the course of the 3 movies, it took him until this movie, I think is like 10 years or something, like probably less than that, but a pretty substantial amount of time.
It's about 10 years now, yeah.
Never once did he meet in person Jack Black until this most recent movie.
Who didn't meet Jack Black?
No, Jackie Chan, excuse me. Never once did Jack Black meet Jackie Chan, who was like
Jack
one of the
Black
other main
never
people.
has met Jack Black before. And in this movie,
God.
he has found himself, and that is the journey of the Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, that's Kung Fu Panda.
Shallow
4.
Hal 2.
Or Shallow Hal 2.
Shallow
Both
Hal
work.
2?
Shallow Hal, but the entire cast is played by pandas.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. and the whole premise is just like Jack Black's so shallow that he's like cutting himself out.
No, wait. Maybe he's so self-indulgent that he just sees the world as himself, and he just wants to help himself out.
He sees them all as pandas.
Oh yeah, I forgot that panda aspect.
Yeah, write it down, Alex. Write it down in your feature-length movie. Send it to him. Get it made.
Shallow Hal and Kung Fu Panda crossover. I love it.
It actually sounds like another movie. It's called Anomalisa.
Yes.
Have you heard
Is
of that?
that the Dan Harmon movie with Charlie Kaufman?
Maybe. I don't know
it's
who's
more
in
of
it
a
or who
Charlie
directed it.
Kaufman movie with Dan Harmon having some sort of influence on it. But yeah, that was the movie with those two people involved.
Was it you on Facebook that was like, this movie is so much better than Inside Out?
I didn't see Inside Out, so I wouldn't know, but I would assume just based on the trailers alone.
I really liked Inside Out.
I loved Inside Out so much. I don't know, but that's me being like, I don't know, a Pixar
Fanboy.
anything that they'll put out, I'll eat up, except for
Cars.
I don't know. Well, yeah.
That's
Cars,
everyone's go-to
Cars
hate.
1 was good. I can enjoy Cars 1.
Cars 1 was
2,
okay at best.
Cars 2, I don't think Pixar did. I think it was strictly a Disney thing.
No, that was also Pixar.
Really?
Not only Pixar, but John Lasseter.
Really? Okay, see, I thought the whole deal was like Disney wanted a Cars 2, but Pixar...
I know what you're thinking of,
Was-
and it's that spin-off Planes. Planes was
Yeah.
just Disney.
With Dane Cook.
With Dane Cook.
No way.
Yeah.
Planes had Dane Cook?
Why are you most surprised about...
I don't believe that.
Oh my god.
How
Dane
did-
Cook, the hottest star of 2016 in
No,
the Planes movie.
The exact opposite. The fact that Dane Cook, who had like this spur of the moment popularity and then just crashed into the ground, was in a Disney film.
Poor
Did
Dane
he just
Cook.
make fart noises? What did he do?
I didn't watch it. They made two of them, and I didn't watch either of them.
We keep talking about these movies that none of us have watched.
It's fascinating, though, the movies that get made, like the... Wait, hold on. This is a question I really wanted to ask you. Why did you bring up Jack Black not meeting Jackie Chan until Kung Fu Panda 3?
Because it was a parallel between the fact that Alex, Keel, and I both worked substantially, not substantially, but he worked substantially on it. On your...
You worked substantially on it, too.
Okay, so we both worked substantially on the Starbomb video, and yet we never met. And so that was the parallel between Jack Black and Jackie Chan.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just bringing that fact out of the blue.
No. There was a reason behind it. I ended up going off on a weird tangent, but such is the case.
You do that a lot on podcasts. You go,
Do I?
yeah, you smack your lips an awful lot. That's why I recommend you drinking water a lot before.
Oh, I have a big old cup of coffee right next to me, and that's probably what's dehydrating me.
Oh man, that sounds so great right now. I almost did coffee for this interview, but I was like, no, I need to go back to sleep as soon as this is done, because peek behind the curtain, gosh damn it. Sorry, I say gosh damn it because my friend on our sister podcast, Thank You Internet, says peek behind the curtain all the time, and now I'm saying.
Oh,
Anyways, behind the scenes, I've been a little crabby and grouchy lately because of the lack of work that I'm doing, and the podcast helps, but I feel like I always need to be doing more.
And considering doing more, let's talk about the theme of this podcast, which involves creation and doing more with art. That is the general overarching theme of this episode. So welcome to the podcast.
The
welcome
overarching
Alex
theme.
Keel and Gage and his grouchy self.
Grouchy Gage.
Grouchy Gage, the GG, right here in studio.
I'm the OG, original Grouch.
So, Alex, we're very excited to have you on the podcast today, and we have a couple topics that we want to cover and discuss.
Very
so, Gage,
interesting.
why don't we jump into our first one right now?
So it's ego and artistry, since we are both all artists. Not full-time artists, Alex.
Well, I mean, one podcast is better than absolutely nothing.
That is absolutely true. We are doing something. And I like putting it out on a weekly basis. But, Alex, you have dealt with a lot of egos in your time because you have worked with a certain class of people. I'm not going to say who, but you know who.
Yeah, there's an elitism, I guess you could say, with the idea of being able to do what you want to do at an early time, like as if it's a pedigree to be considered worthy of working on something sooner than later. I'm trying to like not use terms that would point out
We could use
that's
it.
some vague ass verbiage you're
Yeah,
using.
we could use it.
Okay, so to be a little bit more specific, I have worked a great deal close to my school's film school, and it's something that I attempted to become a part of, and it was like a weird caveat that prevented
I was
me
going to say, like,
from
oligarchy.
Yeah, prevented me from
Being admitted?
Exactly, yeah. It was really ass backwards.
Did they explain to you what the caveat was?
Yes, so essentially there was my entire freshman and sophomore year of school. I had been working towards getting entered into the film school, and I moved here from St. Louis, Missouri with the intent of joining this film school because it's elite, it's one of the top tier schools in the country.
Yeah, it's really prestigious film school.
Yeah, exactly. And so I met with these people, and I worked on nearly all of their sets, became really good friends with a few of them, and I got letters of recommendation from nearly all of them. There was like a significant amount of people that thought that I deserved to be in this film school. And sure enough, the year that would be my admittance is the same year that they choose to change the way that they admit students.
No.
Yeah, and
Could you explain how that works?
so basically...
Oh, wait, you're just about to.
Yeah, so...
I gotta stop interrupting you.
The film school was split into two separate entities, the main studio production and the animation production. And I had been working strictly on studio production for the fact that the animation school was not in the same city. It was in like a separate city in Florida. And this year, something happened, like either their budget was cut or they just decided to merge the two schools together. And so animation got moved to the same building, and then they allowed the animation professors and administrators choose from the crop of people, which included me. They accepted like half of the amount of students, and they also directly ignored letters of recommendation because they didn't know the students who were writing the letters of recommendation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that happened to a good handful of people that I had worked very closely with. It's led to people spreading out and going to different schools for the same thing, and like sort of backtracking. But then I ultimately found a major within the school that allowed me to go about my direction in just a separate way.
Wow. That's crap.
I was sort of under the impression that, and this is half true, I suppose, that you sort of worked really hard, and I guess this is just like a sort of a handful of people, but some people like flat out ignored you when you were working with them, and like they didn't want to talk to you in front of their like film friends, if I might say.
I could say that was somewhat true. That's not a definite yes, because there were obviously people within the organization that wanted people to feel like they were welcome and wanted people to help out and do their best and everything like that. That goes without saying. It was just there are some people who, I think because more often than not I was performing below the line work and I was helping with grip and lighting, it was something that some people didn't feel like they needed to engage the rest of the crew, I guess you could say. So it led to some people not even getting to know my name, and that would make sense on like a legitimate film set, and the film school considers themselves legitimate film sets and everything like that too, but there are roughly 15 people on a set at any given time, and more often than not, I didn't get to meet these people outside of secondhand conversations from others saying, oh, you've got to talk to this person, or oh, you don't want to talk to that person. And it's really catty, almost.
So, my whole experience with the film school, I was roommates my freshman year at FSU with someone who I went to high school with and was about 2 years older than I was, and he had just been accepted into the film school. So my freshman year at FSU, I was roommating with a first-year film school student.
Yeah.
And so throughout my 4 years at FSU, I got to see him as he proceeded through the film school and as he grew as a student there and the way they proceeded with their education. And what I can say from watching him and his opinion, what he said to me, that the educators, the professors that ran the film school, as you became a second year and a third year, I think it's only 3 years long of a program, I could be wrong.
Yep.
But ultimately, by the third year, the professors had found which students that they had the most most faith in, that they would actually produce something worthwhile, the ones that showed the most talent, I guess, and ended up putting all their eggs in those baskets rather than attempt to better the students who were struggling. Instead of trying to bring everyone to the same level, they ended up creating this huge disparity between the people that were talented, made them even better, versus the people that, oh man, guest star?
What's happening?
I'm sorry. Hey, I'm trying to record right now. Do you mind? Hey everybody, it's
Welcome.
Vinny from the podcast a couple times ago.
What's up,
Oh, whoa, we got Vinny back in the podcast, and he in fact likes butt stuff.
Yeah, I'm very... Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Let's rewind. Let's go back.
Okay, you're talking about film people and how they were, or film instructors talking about how they were picking favorites.
Right, so from his perspective, he was actually one of the people that ended up losing out because although his material wasn't considered as good as the other students, he ended up, when he would go in for review, professors would, rather than give him constructive criticism, they would just say, oh yeah, your stuff was fine, or your stuff was good. And then when he asked for more in-depth criticism so he could actually improve himself, they wouldn't give him the time of day. Rather, they would focus their attention on the students who seemed like they were actually, I don't know how to describe it, but they focused their attention on a very select amount of students and ended up boosting their egos through the roof, and then ended up leaving people like my roommate Elias to kind of just fend for themselves and figure out what to do afterwards. So now he has this degree from the film school, and it ended up not doing him much in terms of networking. I don't know, I could be wrong in that respect. I know he's made a lot of great friends who are doing good stuff that he still networks with, but I don't know. The film school behind the scenes is not as glamorous as they make it out to be.
No, it seems like a lot of backstabbing and playing favorites, and
which can be the entertainment medium in general.
Yeah, I've seen, like, just in my small time here in LA, I've already seen, like, a certain amount of egos. I don't want to name any names, but someone, like, legitimately yelled at me for taking over someone's job when that person left the set. And I was working for free, and I was like, I really should not be taking this, but I don't know how to describe it. He had a elevated sense of what he was doing, but whatever. I didn't like working with that guy. So I'm out here in fancy LA, and a lot of people have been asking me, Gage, how do you not get an ego with a mug as handsome as yours?
That's a good question to ask. I've been wondering it too.
Well, the first thing they need to know is I'm butt ugly, so that helps a lot for my ego.
Okay, good. I've noticed the last time I went on to see your Facebook account, I was just vomited a little bit in my mouth.
They're like, ooh, he's gotten a little bit chubby. Ugh.
I didn't want to say anything, but I figured you had enough to deal with already, so...
The first step to recovery is acceptance.
Well, it started off as a joke, but now you guys have took it a little too far.
I mean,
don't know.
Gage, fucking buy some makeup or something, Jesus.
I know. You think it's easy for me to live with, like, a 20-inch penis? Every time I see a naked girl, I pass out from blood loss, Gage. I've learned to deal with it.
Ooh, that's a good name for a movie. Blood, instead of bloodlust, it's blood lost.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 20-inch penis is a good name for a movie.
That too. I would watch the hell out of that.
Rob Schneider has a 20-inch penis.
Wait.
Summer.
Hold on.
All right.
Rob Schneider is a 20-inch penis.
Fuck. But not just any 20-inch penis. Ron Jeremy's 20-inch penis.
Ron Jeremy's 20-inch penis, rated PG-13.
There we go.
But for serious, I wanted to talk to you guys about how not to get an ego in the business, because we all make stuff ourselves. Jean-Claude makes animation. Alex makes something sometimes. No, he writes just like me. I actually haven't been writing a lot recently. I want to get back into that. I need like a writing buddy to like do exercising with, like writing exercising, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've been making headway on my script that I've been working on for the past, I'd say, a month or so. No thanks to Gage, who I was his writing buddy at one point, and apparently we're not anymore.
We should become writing buddies again. I'm just terrible with communication because of my ego.
You should work on writing. I hear that helps with communication.
I've written letters to you. Why haven't you gotten any of them?
Dude, it's really hard to get letters out here in Vietnam.
Did you know that's where they're filming the new King Kong movie?
There's a new King Kong movie?
There's a new King Kong movie.
Oh, damn.
I'm researching a hell of a lot of for this Warner Brothers interview that's coming up, and I'm researching the new King Kong movie. That's a lot of legal stuff, man, like creative rights and public domain, and it's a lot of mumbo jumbo that I am not very happy about. I don't know why I chose King Kong as my subject, because the dude's been around for almost 100 years.
Yeah, you'd think the subject of King Kong would have absolutely no copyright surrounding him. It's been so long, but I guess not.
Apparently, it's supposed to be 50 years before something goes into fair use. But Disney changed that recently or it might have been Universal, actually.
Wait, Disney just straight up changed the terms of fair use?
Of course, they went to court, and they're like, hey, instead of 50 years, it should be 100 years, because we've got properties like Snow White that we want to keep under our belt.
Oh, man. And then they gave the judge like $1 million.
Probably. So Captain America and Snow White, properties like that are very, very old.
I'm waiting for that crossover movie. I guess I have to wait 100 years.
Well, technically no, because Captain America was made in the 40s, and we're in 2016 right now, so it's probably going to be like 24 years till you get to see that.
Good, because I've been really working hard on my animation for Captain America meets Snow White Civil War. And I think it'll be ready in 24 years.
Do you think it would come with the Civil War is enacted when Captain America's like, man, I really hate short people.
Oh, man.
And Snow White's like, this means war.
I'm sorry, but Dopey is my friend.
So was I. So was I. Well, albeit, I'm just gonna wait for a man. Humph.
There we go. That down on your feature thing, too. We're pumping out golden ideas left and right. Okay, so that's another way to reduce your ego. Come up with shit ideas.
Oh my god, we are all over the place on this podcast.
That's how I keep my ego in check. I just make awful, awful things that no one can find redeemable.
This is how I keep my ego in check. Every project I look at every single crack in the armor, and I'm like, well, I could improve that, I can improve that, I can improve that, and I just end up being dissatisfied with the whole thing. And that's not a very healthy way to do it, but it takes away my ego faster than molasses.
Stare at your work until you hate it. I mean, that's what I do with my artwork as well. And more importantly, I go on, I'm ashamed to say, but I don't have a Twitter, I don't have an Instagram, nor a
Vine, a
Vine.
Snapchat.
I have a Vine, I think. Somewhere in there.
Do you have a LinkedIn?
I don't have a LinkedIn. That was the name that I was looking for. So I don't have any of the major social media platforms, but I do, in fact, have a Tumblr that I'm sometimes active on. And I scroll through my feed because I'm subscribed to a bunch of different artists and animators and stuff like that. And if I ever want to sober my ego up, I go on Tumblr and I scroll through and I look at all their the way that they color things and they're just, oh god, they're so good. And it makes me feel so sad because I'll never be that good.
Yeah, I think it just comes with a ton of practice.
And that's the sad part. I would like to think that I could maybe get up to their level if I had the time to dedicate to my art in that respect.
You're practicing every day, though. Even if it's just for like half an hour, you're still practicing most days, correct?
In terms of drawing?
In terms of drawing,
yeah. Yeah, I draw. Since I study so much, that's kind of my way to work it out and kind of get my mind off of medicine stuff. So, yeah, I draw every day, but it's nothing substantial.
Don't you play medication lectures as you draw, like on Twitch and stuff?
Yeah, so I listen through my lectures one time through and I make handwritten notes, and then just to hear it multiple times, if I'm doing something else, I'll probably just pop in my earbuds, because you're able to download the lectures in my class like a podcast and just listen back to them. So I just listen to the teachers talking in my ear until...
Ooh, that's very helpful. Very, very helpful.
I mean, I'd like to think it's helpful. I don't think, since I'm not paying super good attention to it and the material is so thick, I don't think a lot of it sticks, but hey.
Well, some of it sticks, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Because at least you're hearing sort of repeated things again and again, and if you hear repeated things, you'll eventually come away with having something stuck in your brain.
Chase. Repetition is the foundation of retention.
I have no idea what that means.
Sleep on it, chew on it for a little bit. You'll understand.
Oh man, speaking of sleep, I need to sleep bad. How far are we into this podcast? Oh damn, we're only a half an hour. Oh no.
Welcome to the halfway mark. So, Alex, do you have any final things about losing your ego? how you break yourself down.
We haven't really talked to Alex about losing his ego so much. We've only talked about sort of how we look at our stuff and we just kind of point out all the shitty stuff of it. I don't know if Alex does the same thing. I wanted to ask him about that.
I think it's just because I am so early on in the stages. I think that this is where the ego comes in. I think what I have is really good. It's obviously like in its earliest stages and there's work to be done, but looking at what people I respect and idols of mine, seeing how they go about what they're doing, I think I'm on the right track. Now, that being said, the first thing that I'm going to do is probably going to be not all that great, just via the fact that it'll be like I have a short film that this is ego coming back. I made in high school. I was like 16 or whatever, and my friend Steve and I made this movie that was just a Jason Bourne-esque running scene.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we put it together, sent it to our community college film festival, and it got second place. And we were like, oh, wow, that's better than we expected.
Nice.
That's really good, especially if you're 16 going up against college kids.
But then the panel liked it enough to send it to another film festival on our behalf, and our movie got shown in the Tivoli Theater as a part of the Stella Artois St. Louis Filmmakers Showcase.
Oh my god.
No way, man. I knew none of this, by the way, and I've known Alex for quite some time now.
I have told you this before, Gage.
Yeah, really?
I'm almost positive. No,
I don't think so.
And looking back on it now, I look at that movie and I'm like, that is awful. There's so many things I could fix about that, and that's me being incredibly harsh to it. I think that it had its redeemable qualities and everything, but I don't understand how it got to where it's going or where it was. And then the very next movie that Steve and I made together was like a minute and a half, and it was a black and white silent comedy, and it was just in the complete opposite direction. And I think that's part of staying humble, is to not be complacent with where you're at and always be trying to do something. It could be along the same lines, like John Carpenter can keep making horror films, just as long as there's something incredibly new and something challenging in the next project.
100%. I think as long as you stay in the mindset where you want to improve yourself, the moment where you say there's nothing more to be improved is the moment you both become wildly egotistical as well as kind of fail as a creator, because there's always going to be something more to create and something more to improve on. Because we've yet to find, if we found the perfect film, there'd be no more film creators, because we'd all just watch that film forever.
I was going to say, just as like the bookend to that one story, Steve and I made the second movie. We sent it to the same film festival, our community college film festival, and it didn't even place.
Oh.
But the reviews for it were so funny that we personally take it as a victory, because like it was rated, like there were like 5 people on the panel. One of them gave it like a 1 out of 5, and the only comment they put in the like comments box was, "You shouldn't joke about venereal diseases."
What? What?
I want to see this.
It's on YouTube if you wanted to look it up.
I have to ask, did it have any relation to venereal diseases whatsoever?
There was a joke or two. In the grand scheme of things, when Steve and I look back, even though that movie wasn't as popular, we both think that we improved going from one to the other.
Good. Well, you know 100% that judge had herpes. Like, you can say with confidence that he was suffering from one of those venereal diseases, whether it was the gonorrhea, the herpes. He's got one of those.
He may have had them all,
honestly.
honestly.
Yeah, he may have been the kingpin.
Don't you hate those comments that do not help at all? Because I got a lot of those when I was in the forensics team in high school, where we acted out plays, and my buddy Kyle and I, we acted out Pokemon the first movie, and we got all the way to semifinals, and the judge was like, "This is unfunny, I don't get what's going on, and honestly, I don't know how it got to this place."
Oh,
That's brutal.
Wait, how did you reenact Pokemon the first movie? What did you do?
We basically... That movie is incredibly long,
yeah.
And we cut it down to like 10 minutes.
You cut it down, I'm sure. The scientist creating Mewtwo gaining his powers or something like that.
Yes.
And then Ash being invited to the tournament?
Yes, we had Ash be invited to the tournament, and he was actually the only one at the tournament, along with Brock, and we sort of made it a bromance with Brock.
Ooh, nice.
And Mewtwo himself, because there's like a good Frankenstein story somewhere in that movie where Mewtwo doesn't like know himself, and he was created to kill. there's specks of a good story in there, and we just took sort of the best parts and sort of highlighted them. And we killed off Ash at the very end, and we ended it with the Pokemon theme song, like, I wanna be very bad. We didn't sing it, but you get the point.
This isn't funny. I don't get it. I don't have children, so they have obviously never watched this movie.
I think it was like some teenager. Like some
Really?
person in their 20s. I'm like, how did you miss the boat on Pokemon?
There's probably someone who was mad that you bastardized the Pokemon movie, boiled this masterpiece down to 10 minutes.
It was one of those purists, you know?
That, or he was one of those egotistical people who he has masters in literature and he only reads the stuff from the Barnes & Noble Classics section.
That's another thing I want to talk about. When people don't really respect your artwork as much because they think their stuff is... I guess this goes back to ego. They think their stuff is much more important. Like when I went to London, I filmed the whole documentary on the Spice World movie, the Spice Girls movie. And everyone else was doing like these deep documentaries about their families and inspiring musicians, and I'm like, I want to do a Spice World.
That's so awesome.
And I don't think a single one liked it.
Damn.
I was showing like clips of JonTron, and I'm like, I kind of want to be like this guy. And they're like, oh yeah, well I suppose you could do that. You went halfway across the world to do that, but okay.
Fuck those people. That's all you can say. You just gotta be like, fuck those people, because...
That's sort of what my mentality is. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing what I liked and I had fun with it, so what's the damn problem? I didn't hurt anyone.
Yeah, nothing you're gonna do is ever going to meet up to their egotistical standards, and just be happy being who you are. I have a similar story.
Ooh.
Where...
Ooh.
This is one of my favorite stories to tell. So I auditioned to be an American Idol at one point while I went to FSU.
That's right, yeah.
And I went in originally and I planned to sing some Frank Sinatra. And while I was waiting in line to go in front of the judge and sing, the way they did it was in this stadium. And it was in front of like a Pizza Hut stand. It was really weird, but there were a couple different judges spread out. And you had to go, you and 3 other people had to walk up, stand in a line in front of this judge. And then he would point to each person sequentially. And you just have to sing. And then you'd be done. And then the next person would sing. And at the end, he would say like which people could move on or which people... What was usually the case, he'd just say, you're all not what we're looking for and you can leave. So I was planning on singing Frank Sinatra. And I walk up with these 3 other girls. One has a guitar, and we walk up to this guy, and I could see he's slouched in his chair. He has his baseball cap kind of lidded over his eyes, so you can't even see him. He just looks like he's taking a nap. So I can tell he's already checked out. So I switch my whole entire pitch, and I decide that I'm going to kind of screw with this guy a little bit. So I'm not going to sing Frank Sinatra and be serious about it. So I get up, and the first girl sings, and she has her guitar, and she plays, and she's singing some Taylor Swift song, and she's good. But obviously, if you don't really just blare it at these people, you literally have to like scream at them if you want them to even take notice. You can be really good. I went with people that were in the music school and they didn't get through. Anyways, so she goes and he's like, okay, that was good, that was fine, yeah. All right, Jean-Claude, moving on. What's your act? And so I get up there and I start singing like, hey, clear the way in the old bazaar. Hey, you, let us through. It's a bright new star. Oh, come be the first on the block to meet his eye. So I'm starting singing Prince Ali from Aladdin, and I start getting up in people's faces and like when I'm saying like, make way, here he comes, ring bells, bang a drum, like banging on people and doing some crazy shit. Dancing.
I can imagine you doing this and like tapping on the guitar and be like,
yes, exactly.
And the girl.
That's exactly what I did. I can see the guy like sitting up in his chair, like, what the fuck is going on? And so like he cuts me off and he's like, okay, you could stop. And I keep going over him telling me to stop. I just keep blaring through until he like raises his voice. He's like, all right, you can stop. I'm like, I'm sorry. I've got plenty of other material. Like I can sing A Whole New World. I can sing You Never Had a Friend Like Me. Just like entirely, I was kind of pitched myself as a person who could only sing things from Aladdin. Like that was the character I was going for. So he's like, you know, that's fine, whatever, just moving on, next people. So he ends up letting the other 2 people go, they sing, and in the end, he's like, okay, the 3 girls, you were good, you weren't what we're looking for. Jean-Claude, come up here, I want to talk to you for a second. I'm like, oh my god. So I walk up to him, and he looks me in the eye, he's like, I like you. I think I know what you're about. Here's a pass. I want you to go on back. They're going to record you on film. They're going to send it to the judges. If they like you, you're going to be on American Idol. And I was like, oh my god, this is happening. So I went on back, and everyone backstage heard what I did and hated me for it. they hated the shit out of me, except for one of the performers. Her mom came up to me and she's like, honey, I heard what you did. Your voice was beautiful. Honey, you should have seen him. He was acting out. He was doing a little dance. He was amazing. And she was legitimate. She was complete. She was the most sincere mom I've ever met. And she made it the whole thing for me. And then the next week, Robin Williams died.
Seriously?
Yes, the week after I
What
did
did you
that.
do, Jean-Claude?
I know, which is one of the reasons I'm afraid that, like, they didn't want to bring me on, even as a joke, because then, like, people would have just been like, oh, he's trying to do a tribute to Robin Williams, what an asshole. But, yeah, legitimately, the next week, Robin Williams died.
Oh, man, what a downer way to end an otherwise
I know.
happy story.
I put some bad juju on him or something.
Oh, no. R.I.P., man.
But that's my ego story of other people hating me for doing something hilarious.
That's like my whole college career. People looking at me and being like, oh, you want to do that? Not my whole college career. Everyone, in fact, a lot of people were super supportive. It was just that one London trip.
That's sad.
But, whatever. Alex, do you have any stories like that? You're like, I just want to do my own thing. And people are like,
I think it definitely goes along with what I was saying about, like, the gentleman's disagreement and the don't joke about venereal diseases. When people think that you're mocking what they do, even though you're, like, embracing the same thing, it's like there's a difference between standing out and making a mockery of things. Mm-hmm. And so, like, for example, there are a handful of people who just love The Room, the Tommy Wiseau movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people just feel like it's making a mockery of what film is. And I have never seen it. I don't intend on seeing it just because I think that I'm going to not like it. But more power to him for becoming popular, for creating something with like $2.
See, I was under the impression that everyone who quote unquote liked it, it was all under like an ironic, I like this because it's so bad that it's good.
There's a charm to that movie. I can't really put my finger on it. But there's definitely, like, there's so much passion he put into that movie. And that's sort of the beautiful thing about it. He put all of his love and work. And by the way, he didn't make it for $2. He made it for $8 million, I believe.
How did he?
What?
Yeah, the dude had $8 million.
What did he spend it on? The sex scenes? The roses on the bed?
I don't know, but he rented out a studio and he had a lot of pampering. He built his own bathroom on set. I read the book, The Disaster Artist, and he built his own bathroom on the set, and everyone else had to use, like, the porta potties outside.
Oh my god.
And he always showed up late, and it was weird. I don't know. I don't want to speak too badly of him, but he made something good.
To keep this from becoming a Tommy Wiseau tangent, what I'm getting at is that if Gage chooses to spend his London trip doing what he wants to do, and then other people feel like there's something that he should be doing instead, then fuck that. That's not cool.
Yeah, they have absolutely no right to decide what you should or shouldn't be doing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And that goes with what you were saying about the film school or the experience that your roommate had, where it's like, we realize that there's potential in these people, but really there should be potential in everyone just doing different things.
Mm-hmm. The final thing to talk about Tommy Wiseau is like, sorry.
I liked how Alex wrapped this up into a nice, neat moral, and I was about to congratulate him on that, and I'm like, oh, we haven't really done that before. And then you're like, but Tommy Wiseau.
Let's just crack it open a little bit more. No. It's literally the final thing, because what you just touched on was beautiful. Because if he taught us anything, it's the fact that I'm sure if he would have gone to the FSU Film School, he would have been one of those people that would have been thrown under the rug and would have been pushed to the side. But obviously, there is a market for something that, by most people's standards, is poop.
Oh, yeah.
So you're right. Everyone has their own potential in their own way, and there shouldn't be...
You shouldn't mold the world in your way, and that's sort of my problem with a lot of writing teachers out here. Instructors, they kind of want to mold you into, like, their ideal person when everyone's sort of different.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of the most gut-wrenching college experience I ever had.
Yes, we mentioned this. You worked with me. Okay, can we just move on?
Yeah, how did you deal with his face going back to that? I'm just kidding.
I actually wore my backpack the entire time on set, and in my backpack I had lined it with trash bags on the off chance I needed to vomit.
Good.
But
that's a very thrifty, paired thing to do. You must be a Boy Scout.
I actually was a Boy Scout for like 2 days. That's a funny story. I feel like I'll tack that on at the end of my first one. But something gut-wrenching that happened. I am a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson. I think he's a great director, and I love his movies, right? And the SLC, the on-campus movie theater, was playing the Master.
Mhm.
And that movie's really provocative and diverse in how people feel on it. And after watching it, like, there was probably 5 minutes left of the movie, and it was the first time I had seen it, and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is just a masterpiece. I loved it. And as the credits start to roll, a guy stands up in the theater and says, "That's it?" like pronouncing to everyone. And he said, "I'm in the film school, and if this is the kind of movies that are going to come from film school, I don't want to be a part of it."
What?
Oh.
And then the whole theater clapped for him.
What? What? Who?
They supported
Who
his...
cares?
Oh my...
They supported him, saying that he didn't want to make movies anymore because of movies like that.
God.
Wow. And you enjoyed
the
the movie.
ego of some
You thought it was a
people.
masterpiece.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. Like, I mean, you can watch it and tell me what you think, but I personally think that it was incredible. It was just one of those weird people that think I'm better than that, and that...
The fact that he had the gall to stand up in a theater, yell at the movie screen, that's the part that amazes me the most. That he's like, I'm the protagonist in my own story. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm going to proclaim for just a movie. It was like, what, the movie was like 2.5 hours long? Who cares?
And what, so it was a movie that had someone from the film school work on it, correct? That was the whole purpose
I don't think so.
Oh.
No, it was just they were showing a movie that they thought people deserved to see, and they were showing it for free, so he didn't have to go, but I wanted to go because I wanted to see this movie.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and then someone who apparently thought the same thing as me was so disgusted by the experience, felt that he needed to let everybody else know that he was disgusted by the experience.
How would he have felt saying that to the person that decided that they wanted to show it at the SLC? Someone probably loves that movie with all their heart, and they wanted to show it, and he just pooped all over them.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But that's
Yeah.
like the egotistical, like, this is about me now, and I'm not a fan of that. Who's with me?
Oh, man.
I have one last story regarding ego, because we should probably switch it up a little bit. And this is probably one of the kind of most heinous, or like the peak of egotism. My anatomy professor spoke once about someone he worked with in a lab who was in a physiology lab, and the man was working on the renal system of the human body, which, if you've ever studied renal physiology, is extremely complex, and the fact that it works whatsoever is amazing. But this man, as he's studying it, long story short, this physiologist claimed that he would have designed the human body better than God did if he would have created the human body, and just like announced that if he would have designed the human like anatomy, it would have been so much more elegant and so much more better.
To him, I say, who the fuck cares? Because a 5-year-old could probably design the human body better. They'll be like, yeah, you have lasers in your eyes. You can, like, dispense soda pop from your fingertips. He could probably do that.
No.
Who cares? I know what he's going for. He's like, oh, I could make it something function more. We could not have an appendix or whatever. Just who cares what you think? We are what we are. So
Yeah.
just let it be.
Just the gall that he had to just be like, I am better than God, is just amazing. Like, who the...
And that's a thing that you can't change. Like,
You can't
like
change
that kid,
Jesus.
you can't change Jesus. That kid in the theater, he could have like kept his thoughts to himself and then gone and like used his resources to make something better.
Mm-hmm.
But what can this professor do to actually... What if God came down and he was like, oh yeah, do it. I fucking dare you, dude.
If fucking
God
Morgan
starts
Freeman
pushing
comes
him
down
around
and he's
like-
just like, you're God for a day.
How often do you think God has pulled off of Bruce Almighty?
Couple times, I'm sure.
How does he pick his Bruce Almighties?
Just someone that he's just like, this guy's an asshole. I'm gonna fuck up his week.
I'm gonna make him God, see what he does.
And that's how the city of I don't know.
I was gonna quote like a disaster or something.
I was gonna mention Hitler, but that would not be good.
Hitler, you're God for a day. Let's see what you do.
Oh, great! I can think of a
And
few
he just leaves
adjustments.
them-
First of all, the Jews, they have to go. Second of all, camps. I'm going to make a couple of those.
I don't like marshmallow roasting. Can we cook like graham crackers instead?
Let's change gears. Let's talk about
That's me changing gears.
You've got to take your car in for a checkup, because that was fucked up.
Does your car
gear
not
change.
do that? Oh, real quick. Alex, tell us about your Boy Scout story for 2 days.
Yeah, okay, so a friend of mine was in the Boy Scouts, and he convinced me to join because they get pocket knives and stuff, and that'd be badass.
Yeah.
But, so I go to one meeting, and I get to meet everybody in the group, and they're pretty much all of my friends at this point. This was around, like, 3rd grade.
Right.
So I was just excited to be doing something with them, and I met their troop leader, and he was like one of their dads or whatever, and he was like, oh, okay, be sure to come to this next thing or whatever, right? So I was like, okay, this is my inauguration or whatever. And the second meeting that I go to is when they're all receiving like medals for something they did like a month prior.
Oh.
And so I'm standing, I don't even have a uniform yet. I'm like wearing a hoodie and shorts, and they're all in their like badged out sashes and stuff like that. And they legitimately hand me one, and I'm like, I don't deserve this. What is going
And
on?
then
And
you
then
a
you just
badge?
left.
Yeah, they handed me like one of the medals for like being a part of this troop, and then I was like, you know what? Whatever. And I just peaced out.
Yeah, I could pawn this shit off. I'm gonna go make some money.
You want to hear my Boy Scout story?
Go for it.
I was in the Boy Scouts, and I didn't really like it that much, but I was too afraid to say anything to my parents, so I eventually just became an Eagle Scout.
Oh, nice.
So that's my story, and I haven't done anything with it since. I don't know what to do with it.
Wait, hold on. Isn't it so that you are a Boy Scout until you're promoted to Eagle Scout?
Yeah.
So basically you were like, oh, I'm not having a good time, so I'll just wait until I have to do more of the same thing.
Yeah, I promoted myself, and I'm like, this is like a gold card for any job. I can get any job ever now.
And
And they're just like, no, you just do more stuff with the troop. And I'm like, no, thank you.
I mean, you can go on from Eagle Scout and you can get your like golden palm and things like that. And be.
That is true, but I do not want to do that.
I didn't do that either. But
Do you have a Boy Scout story?
I don't have any stories, but I'm an Eagle Scout.
What?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout.
Oh, wait, I might have known this.
So I've put it on all my job applications. It's only like 2% of men in the U.S., if even that.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 2% of people who joined the Boy Scouts.
Oh, which is even
dwindling.
less. Yeah.
Yeah.
2% become Eagle Scouts. So we're pretty small.
We're pretty rare these days. Did you know Steven Spielberg was a Eagle Scout?
I could care less.
fair enough. Fair enough.
He doesn't need to write that on his resume.
Yeah. Goddamn Steven Spielberg.
I see you've written The Terminal, The Polar Express, and you're an Eagle Scout.
Oh. Did Steven Spielberg write The Terminal?
I don't think he wrote it. He directed it.
Oh, I love that movie.
I like it a lot
Every
too.
once in a
It's
while-
gotten a lot of hate.
Yeah.
But I was like, I enjoyed that movie.
I don't know how I ended up watching it, but I watched it like when it first came out as a kid. I just liked it so much. Him just putting ketchup and mustard on a cracker and then trying to eat it as a sandwich and then it falling on the ground and then him being like hungry Tom Hanks face.
Hungry Tom Hanks.
It just like it spoke to me as a kid and I was like, this is adorable. He's a little Ukrainian-esque guy.
That's how he views foreigners from now on. Just adorable.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an adorable little foreigner.
He was so nice. He loved his dad. I like that movie so much. I go back and watch it every
I
once
like
in a
that
while.
movie too. And by the way, I don't think Steven Spielberg did The Polar Express.
No? Okay.
That was Robert Zemeckis, who shouldn't have made
That's
that
fine.
movie.
If you say it with confidence, I'll take anything you say as truth.
Did you know Alex was also an Eagle Scout?
No way, Alex. You got an Eagle Scout in 2 days. It's incredible.
And I also wrote The Polar Express.
Now that I will believe.
Ooh, yeah. Has anyone seen The Polar Express recently?
I've never seen the movie, but I read the book.
I like that book.
It's a good book.
It's a good book. It's a good book. But yes, switching gears.
So switching gears, talking about movies, what are your processes when approaching movie creation and just media creation in general or art? Alex, start us off. How do you approach writing a script or directing something?
Okay, so to start out, I absolutely hate the screenplay format. I tried writing one of my feature ideas in screenplay format and I got about 2 pages in and I was just so incredibly frustrated with like having to get exactly what each character says and putting it like under their name and everything like that and then starting a new section for each new thing and everything like that. And I feel like my stories just come so narratively that now I've started to write my first drafts as if I'm writing a book
Yeah.
and then I'm just going to go back back to it, because I haven't gotten as far as to a second draft on anything yet, because I suck. But I'm going to go back and look at what I wrote down and sort of get the essentials. But ultimately, everything that I write is going to end up being very narrative-esque. So I'm taking a really long time to get as detailed as possible.
I'm sure you're not just working on one script, correct? You're working on multiple scripts.
Multiple feature scripts, I should add, because
It really depends on the day, because some days I'll be like, I am so in the mood to write this particular one, and then I'll wake up the next morning and be like, you know what, I have an idea for this, and I've got like 5 or 6 pages for 5 or 6 different ones.
See, I can't do that. I just work on one narrative project at a time because that's just how my brain works. It's like in a certain function, in a certain gear, so to say, of like, oh, I need to write about this world and about this comedy, and I just kind of get engrossed with the world. And I either stop and just abandon it, or I move on to something else. I wish I could be like you and work on multiple projects at the same time. That would probably help a lot.
I actually think that the reason why I write that way is because of my natural resistance of actually doing work. Because I'm such a procrastinator that I get the feeling that once I start getting headway on something, I will purposefully try and find something else to do.
I can completely relate to that. I understand that.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse in that sense.
I think the difficulty with writing screenplays in that format is that you have to have, at that point, a distinct picture in your mind of what the shot is going to look like so you can kind of verbalize that on page. That's something that I struggle with, because if I ever come up with an idea for an animation or something like that, I have the most difficult time coming up with interesting shots or how to frame certain things and how to convey that on paper.
I would argue that's more of an animation problem than a screenplay problem, because in a screenplay, I just imagine this one character going throughout life and talking with his friends and bosses and family. I don't think about the shots ahead of time. Maybe I have 1 or 2 shots in mind, but that's basically it. I mainly leave that up to the DP.
Oh, is that their job?
Yeah, that's their job, to like storyboard it and sketch it out. And the director does some of that too, just to a lesser extent.
I think that Gage is the odd man out in this scenario, because I, like Jean-Claude, am very vivid in how I want the presentation of it. So yeah, I am thinking about shots, like shot leads to this shot, leads to this shot. When I'm writing just natural dialogue or whatever, in my mind I picture, okay, that's when this cuts to this, and when we get an image of this or whatever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never get that far generally in my ideas. A lot of my stuff is even more superficial than what you guys are talking about. It's like a blurb that comes in my mind, and then I'm like, oh man, that would be a hilarious little animation, and then nothing comes of it.
Yeah, I've been getting better at it. I've been trying to write down some stuff when it comes to, I'm trying to get back into stand-up comedy, and I haven't written in a while, like I said, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things and give myself 10 minutes to write every day. There's this great book called The Coffee Break Screenwriter, about where you just take 10 minutes every day to write a story, and in a year you'll have a completed and well thought out script.
Oh, cool. I like that.
So I've been trying to do that, but give myself an hour or something so I can get it done even faster.
Damn. I don't know the maths behind that, but you'd probably get that pumped out in 4 months, 3 months.
Yeah, it would be 6 times faster, so 2 months.
Dang.
If I do it every day. I don't know. I actually just saying this out loud, I'm yeah, I should do that. I should just have an hour every day, and then I'll eventually get a completed screenplay. Yeah, I think I should start doing that.
You should start doing that. That's the lesson. That's the takeaway from today's episode.
You convinced yourself.
I did. I'm an inspiration to myself, as Carlos Cabero is an inspiration to himself.
Beautiful. I've had one idea that I've actually am very proud of, and I want to eventually make something of. It's an idea for a comic book. It involves 2 characters that are brothers and are based off myself and another person. The other Alex that was supposed to be on tonight, and then he didn't show up. So I'll have to go in. Oh no! Hey, no.
We all know Alex is responsible for every other Alex.
Today was not going to be our artist episode. Today was going to be actually our Alex episode, where you'd have two Alexes on.
We just switched some words around, and it turned out to be artist episode.
So yeah, we had to shuffle that around. I'm very happy with where this has gone. I'm not going to go too far into it in terms of the story, because I don't really have it figured out. I just know that they have superpowers and some shit goes down, and I want to draw it, but trying to figure out where I'm trying to find a happy medium between the quality of something like Marvel or a DC comic versus the simplicity of an animation like Steven Universe, and find a balance between there. Because
Talk to me about that after the podcast, because I'm interested to see where it goes.
yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
good.
doing some collaboration.
I've been talking with Kat about it because I know she's wanted to do a lot of comic book writing and start working at Marvel eventually. And I was like, you with an English degree, you'd be so good at writing things like that.
Oh, a lot of people say I'm pretty good at writing, but
And those people are.
you know, once again, that's not important right now. But no, it's mainly my parents and sort of like some of the writing teachers that I had.
Oh no,
They're
I
like,
believe,
you're
I
a
believe
pretty
you.
good
I
writer.
100% believe you. I was just busting your balls.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I said it more for myself than you. Whatever.
Something I've been exceptionally proud of as of late has been my tweets. I am so funny on Twitter right now.
I am fucking hilarious.
See, I wanted to tweet more because I'm like, why don't I tweet more? It's writing, and it's a certain limitation to writing, so it's like a fun little game that you get to play, a fun little writing exercise, if you will.
Damn.
But yeah, give us some examples of your tweet. And by the way, if you want to follow Alex on Twitter, his username is @#Keel.
Okay. I don't use the handicap stalls because I'm a dick, but out of precaution, I'm actually afraid this next one's going to put me in a wheelchair.
Oh man. Nice.
I like that one.
What did you study in college? How to waste time and money.
Oh god. Oh.
Is that a little too real for you, John
Just
Claude?
hits home a little bit too much. Yeah.
Oh, and then probably my favorite. The guy sitting next to me definitely had Friskies for breakfast. I am so average in terms of comedic value, but just reading my own tweets is
It's good.
a
It's something to be
fantastic
proud of.
ego
You're like
stroke.
like
Good,
a,
yeah.
like a saucy Dimitri Martin.
Once again, going back to ego, it's hard to strike that balance of looking at stuff and being like, I need to improve on this, and just being proud of something.
Because honestly, I know that those aren't very good, but I think they're pretty damn funny, and that's all that matters, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, combined, those 3 tweets have, like, 4 favorites.
Ooh.
Don't really take myself all that seriously.
Yo, I've made things on my Tumblr that I think are just jewels and that I'm so proud of because I feel like I improved so much as an artist on these pieces of artwork. And then like one note, and then it's just Kat that just liked it. And I'm just like, all right, thanks, Kat.
I have the same thing. I posted one of our thumbnails on Twitter, Sonic v Mario, Snapchats of porn. I was pretty proud of that thumbnail.
Connor was
And it
standing
got, like-
right next to me when you sent that to me via text, and I cried laughing when I got it. And he was like, what's happening? What's going on? And I had to show him. It was beautiful.
Okay, well, never mind, because if you liked it, you just sent back a, like, I love it, and I'm like, of course he loves it. He's John
Oh,
Claude.
I truly appreciated that, so thank you.
But yeah, it just got one retweet. You can't measure sort of your funniness over Twitter or how many views you have. You just do what makes you happy.
Yeah, to quote a Rice Pirate video, he said you should make things that you think are funny, and that'll make you enjoy working on them. And if other people find them funny, then that's great. I think he said that. I might just be paraphrasing.
Yeah, that's something a lot of artists say. Do stuff for the sake of doing stuff because you like it. If someone else likes it, great.
Yeah, film a Spice Girls movie. Why the fuck not?
Exactly. I had a lot of fun with that because I got to go to the different locations. And I tried to get into the theater with the final scene, and the guy was like, oh yeah, that's like 2,000 pounds to film in here. And I just filmed outside, then I ended up cutting that scene. So
Oh my god.
I would have wasted 2,000 euros.
Which is, what, like $2,500?
Yeah, something along those lines. Like,
Because the euro is worth more than the dollar.
yeah.
Damn.
Anyways, too much. Anyways, we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, so we covered some artsy things, and I think we've taken away. Gage has obviously taken away the most from this episode. He's going to change his whole entire workflow.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to try to devote an hour a day to writing.
good. I've been wanting to wake up earlier in the mornings so I can dedicate an hour to just doing something.
Whoa. Waking up early. That's no, thank you. Never mind. I'm not doing
Well,
that anymore.
I work from like 8 in the morning till 8 at night anyways, so the only time I could find is in the mornings.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense for you.
Yeah. Anyways, so Alex, any last thoughts on the things that we've discussed today?
I had a great time. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope that I was good enough to garner a second visit sometime.
Oh, hey, if you want to
'Cause
come
you
back
guys
when we
are
finally get the Alex
awesome.
episode, you are more than welcome, man.
Actually,
Yeah, that would be great.
Jean-Claude, can I talk to you for a
Oh, yeah,
second?
yeah, man.
Hang on,
Oh my god.
let's go over here.
Okay, yeah, Alex, I think he should come back.
Really? I was just kind of being nice.
Yeah, but I personally liked him on the podcast. I was being a little mean to him, but
All right.
I think he should
If
come
you
back.
can get get
Hey.
a dick pic out of it for me, I will allow it.
Hey,
Yeah.
What's up, Alex? Yeah.
what are you guys talking about?
Just how
Sports,
big's your penis?
politics.
You want a dick pic? It's 20 inches.
All right. I bet you have circulation
It
problems.
looks a lot like Rob Schneider.
Looks exactly like Rob Schneider.
It's beautiful.
Okay, Jean-Claude. We went back there. Any concluding thoughts?
Alex, you have a beautiful penis.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show. It's been a marvel to look at you.
Alex's penis, do you have any final thoughts?
Hey guys, check out my new show, The Real Rob, on Netflix right now.
That was you when like anytime you bring in a character, it's that like squeaky rat voice thing. But
Hey guys, how's it going?
as like Rob Schneider as a penis, that worked very well. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you, thank you. My concluding thoughts, I need to work more on writing and my life.
We should go back to being writing buddies.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's like workout buddies.
After that horrible breakup with all the blood and stuff, I thought we could never go back. But as the cheer song says, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And I know Alex's name.
And I mean, it wasn't even our blood.
No. It was someone else's. Some prime minister. Anyways,
More on that next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball.
On the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
The Almost Adult Show.
Yay! Good. All right.
okay, yeah, good enough. We had like 15 different
I
conclusions.
know. You can pick your favorite.